To pay or not to pay? That is the question. I used to be an English teacher. One of the most hotly debated topics, if not the most hotly debated topic when it comes to cruising, is gratuities. Ahoy travelers, it's Amy with Cruising from the Ozarks here with another Tuesday tip to help you make your vacation a success. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up. It only takes a second, and doing so helps other cruisers like you find us. Cruise lines that charge an automatic gratuity do so per day per person, and that cost often differs based on the type of cabin that you're staying in. So suite cabins will usually pay a higher gratuity for their upgraded service. The claim being made by the cruise lines is that these gratuities are being doled out not only to the crew that you directly interact with, but to those behind the scenes as well, like those in laundry and the kitchen. I don't think that most people have a problem with that. The question that gets batted about, however, is how those gratuities are being split and if all the money is actually going to the crew, or are the lines skimming some off for themselves? I think if the lines would just be transparent about the percentage of gratuities that are going to various crew, most cruisers would be okay with that. But that's not what's happening. Even crew members will tell you that they just don't know how much they're getting from each person. The gratuities are split up, they don't know how, they don't know what percentage that they're getting, just that their paychecks have a line item that says that these are from gratuities, auto gratuities that were paid by cruisers. There are lines out there that do not add gratuities to your cost of cruising, but instead just incorporate any additional pay for their crew into the cruise fares. Most of these lines are based in countries where tipping is just not a part of the culture. They make sure that they charge enough for the service, that people are paid well without customers needing to bump up pay by adding a tip. Unfortunately, tipping is a major part of American culture, and instead of slowing down, it is just getting worse. It isn't just waitresses that work for less than minimum wage. I mean, there's really not that many of them out there anymore, but that's how tipping began. But that's not just what's happening anymore. We are now expected to tip everybody. And the percentage that you're expected to tip has increased as well. It used to be 10% minimum, and then it was 15%, and now people are insulted if you don't tip 20% or more. I actually saw a tirade recently by a barista who was complaining that no one should be tipping them less than 20%. Now, maybe you tip people who hand you coffee, but I don't. They make well over minimum wage. Now, if I were to sit down in a coffee shop, the barista took my order, brought it to me, then came back to my table a couple times to see if I needed anything, okay, then I'd be okay with plopping down a few extra dollars. But that's usually not what's happening. Before we get into how I choose to tip and how that has changed over the years, please consider subscribing to the channel. We are a new channel and could really use your support to help us reach more cruisers like you. Like, subscribe, and share. It really helps our channel out with the YouTube algorithm. Make sure you also click the notification bell so that you don't miss any future posts. I wish all cruise lines just paid their crew well and charged guests enough to do so without the need for gratuities, but that is unlikely to ever happen, no matter how much cruisers wish it would, especially with these American lines. I consider the automatic gratuities as part of the cost of cruising and even choose to have them prepaid. I've just made the decision to not have a problem with it, and I choose to trust that all the money is making it into the hands of the crew. I will not be taking the money away from people that depend on it as part of their salary just because I don't have direct contact with them. Unless a whistleblower comes forward with proof that this isn't true, what else can we really do? We have to go based on what we're told. Now, there are various reasons why people choose to have auto gratuities removed. One, they have them removed and take that money and then pay those who they've had direct contact with or who they believe deserve a tip for making their cruise extra special. Another one is they're just out there to have them removed. They aren't tipping anybody with the money. They're just using it to lower the cost of their cruise. I really hope there aren't that many people out there doing that, but I feel that there probably are at least a percentage of people out there doing that. And some people actually have issues with their cruise and experience bad service. So they choose to have the auto gratuities removed so no tips go to that area that supplied them with less than average service. This is because you cannot just choose to have your auto gratuities taken away from one service area and put towards another. Like say you had terrible service in the MDR, you had the same wait staff all week, they were terrible and the service was bad and you don't want them to get any of the auto gratuities, and you say, well, can I have that directed towards the bar staff instead? No. You might be able to lower the overall amount, but you can't designate where it goes. Service would have to be unbelievably bad for me to remove any of the auto gratuities. Like I said, I see them as part of the base fare. I pay it early and then I don't think about it again. The next question is whether or not to tip above and beyond those auto gratuities. My first cruise, I didn't know anything about the tipping culture on cruising. I didn't even know it was the thing, but that was over 20 years ago. Since then, I had been tipping a lot. I tipped my cabin steward twice, both at the beginning and the end of my cruise. I was tipping $1 almost every time I got a drink at the bar. I tipped the wait staff at the main dining room. It was a lot of tipping for someone who wasn't removing the auto gratuities. I made a choice on my most recent cruise to pull back a little on the tipping. First off, you are already charged an 18% gratuity for your drinks. Whether you buy them individually or you purchase a drinks package, you have already tipped for that drink. My new philosophy on tipping for drinks is to only tip if I am spending most of my time at one bar. When you do that, the bartenders get to know you, your drink preferences, and they will often give you preferential treatment. I had this on a Carnival cruise once when I spent most of my time hanging out at the Red Frog Rum Bar. I tipped regularly and I had my favorite bartenders. When the bar was busy, I got served quickly still. They knew my name and knew what drinks I liked. On my recent cruise, there was a bar waiter on the atrium who made sure that he came over to see if I needed a drink as soon as he saw me in the area. I made sure to give him a tip on our last day of the cruise and thank him for such excellent service. I no longer tip my cabin steward twice. I had done this because I'd read on a cruise forum that people would tip their steward on the first day to ensure good service. I've since realized that that's just totally unnecessary. They're going to provide you good service because that's their job. If I were to get service above and beyond, then I would definitely tip extra over what I had planned, but I would do so at the end of the cruise. Since I usually choose anytime dining or freestyle dining when I cruise, I rarely tip the wait staff in the MDR. It isn't often that you will have the same waiters more than once when you're doing that. However, I have tipped before when I've had the same waiters a few times and they had quickly learned my preference of having lots of warm bread. If I were to go back to a set dining time, I would likely choose to tip the wait staff unless the service was just atrocious. Honestly, I just wish the cruise lines would pay their crew what they're worth and stop relying on cruisers to supplement crew salary with the auto gratuities. Let us decide if we feel like someone deserves a tip for excellent service or not. I would much rather have that same amount that I pay in auto gratuities just added to the base fare of the cruise. I think that cruise lines do this to trick new people or gullible people into seeing that, oh, this cruise only costs $500. Well, yeah, it's $500 plus gratuities, plus port fees, plus taxes, plus that's for an interior. And if you want a balcony, you're going to pay more. And that's the cost per person, not for a couple. And you're going to have to pay for two people, regardless if you're a solo cruiser. So there's a lot of things that the cruise line's doing to get you this flash price of this is all it's going to cost you. That's always going to be doubled by the end, and it's just unlikely you're going to pay that cheap of a price for a cruise. So I really wish they just stop this. It's manipulative and it's completely unnecessary. People know better, so I don't know why they do it anymore at this point. Just if it's going to cost you $120 in auto gratuities, add that to the base fare. It's that easy. So what is your tipping policy when it comes to cruising? Are you a generous tipper? Do you have the auto gratuities removed? And if so, why? What are you doing instead? Leave a comment below and let's get a conversation started. Be sure to check out this video comparing Carnival and Norwegian. It's the first in a series, and then come back next week for another video designed to help you have an amazing cruise. Have a blessed week, everyone.